Conflict within a team is not a sign of failure. It is, in fact, an inevitable part of bringing talented individuals together. Each person arrives with a unique map of the world, experiences, beliefs, values. When these different maps are laid on the same table to chart a course toward a common objective, friction is a natural result. We see the world not as it is, but as we are. Therefore, it is perfectly normal for two highly capable people to look at the same problem and see two entirely different sets of solutions and obstacles. The challenge for a leader is not to eliminate this friction, but to harness its energy for productive ends. True leadership begins with the understanding that these differences are not liabilities, but potential assets. A team where everyone thinks alike is a team limited by a single perspective. It is in the space between differing viewpoints that innovation and synergy are born. The real trouble begins not when disagreements arise, but when they are ignored, suppressed, or handled ineffectively. When this happens, the creative energy of friction curdles into the destructive force of contention. It becomes personal, emotional, and rooted in defending one's own map, rather than co-creating a better one. Effective leaders see conflict as a signal, a moment that calls for principle-centered action. This is the path of effectiveness. When conflict is left to fester, it acts like a hidden tax on every single activity the team undertakes. This tax is not paid in dollars and cents at first. It is paid in the currency of trust, energy, and productivity. When people are distracted by interpersonal strife, they cannot focus fully on the task at hand. Think of it as a low-grade infection within the body of the organization. People begin to walk on eggshells, carefully managing every word and interaction. This defensive communication stifles the free flow of ideas and honest feedback. The tangible costs soon follow. Projects fall behind schedule. Meetings become inefficient, devolving into passive-aggressive debates or unproductive silence. Employee turnover increases as talented people seek healthier environments. The organization bears the costs of recruiting, hiring, and training replacements. Consider a leader who consistently avoids addressing a recurring argument between two senior developers. The leader hopes the problem will simply resolve itself. Instead, factions form and collaboration breaks down. They stop reviewing each other's work and communicate only through formal emails. The project's quality declines, deadlines are missed, and morale plummets. The price of unresolved conflict is a price no effective leader can afford to pay. The journey to resolving conflict and building influence does not begin with changing others. It begins with mastering ourselves. The first habit of any effective leader is to be proactive. Between what happens to us and our response, there's a space. In that space lies our freedom and our power to choose our response. A reactive leader is driven by feelings or circumstances. A proactive leader is driven by values. They choose their response based on principles, not emotions. This requires a deep commitment to self-awareness. Understand your triggers, biases, and communication style. Ask, do I dominate conversations or withdraw from them? An honest self-assessment is the first step toward personal mastery. Begin your day with a clear intention for how you'll interact with your team. At day's end, take 5 minutes to reflect. When did you feel frustrated? How did you respond? Was your response aligned with your values and leadership goals? That private victory of self-mastery precedes the public victory of influencing your team. A small act, letting someone finish, mature, sends a powerful message. I value your input more than my impulse. Influence is built through consistent, principle-centered choices, starting with the person in the mirror. A calm, centered leader becomes a stable anchor during turbulent times. Sharpen your saw, practice the disciplines that sustain you. This is how you prepare to lead with steadiness and influence. Once you have laid the foundation of self-mastery, the next step is to build psychological safety. This is the bedrock of trust. Psychological safety is the shared belief that the team is safe for interpersonal risk-taking. It means people feel secure enough to speak up, ask questions, and admit mistakes. They can challenge the status quo without fear of retribution. A leader creates the conditions where trust can flourish, deliberately and consistently. The primary tool is this principle: seek first to understand, then to be understood. Most people listen to reply, not to understand. They filter everything through their own paradigms. An effective leader practices empathetic listening, getting inside the other person's frame of reference. Listen not just to the words, but to the meaning and the feelings behind them. You might say, "It sounds like you feel incredibly frustrated with these delays." When you offer understanding, you give a person psychological air. You validate them as a human being, not just a position. They lower their defenses because they feel seen and heard, not judged. Only then can you move toward collaborative problem solving. This creates an upward spiral. Respectful listening breeds trust, and more listening. This is the architecture of influence, a bridge that can bear future challenges. With a foundation of self-awareness and a bridge of trust, you can guide your team from conflict to co-creation. This is the essence of the sixth habit. Synergize. Synergy is the whole being greater than the sum of its parts. When differences arise, seek a third alternative. Not your way or my way, but our way. A solution that is better than either individual could have created alone. This is where conflict becomes raw material for innovation. The leader's role is to facilitate the creative process. Ask powerful questions. What if we had no constraints? What would the ideal solution look like? Consider phased launches or resource reallocation to meet both speed and quality needs. By focusing on a common purpose, the project's success, you unite people who were divided. You reframe the conflict as us versus the problem. People begin to build on each other's ideas rather than tear them down. Your role is to be a cultivator of potential. By mastering conflict and building influence, you unlock latent talent and creativity. You create a culture where differences are celebrated as strengths. Trust becomes the foundation and synergy the expected outcome. This is a journey, not a destination. It requires patience and persistence. Embrace conflict as opportunity. Listen to understand. Seek synergy. Lead with lasting positive influence.